I don't think that's every single consumer's bad. If they're white, they're bad. Like, no.
Yo.
It's your boy Luce. I got my boy
DZ.
We are the Ill-Advised Wise Guys.
Check out the full podcast, link below.
Topic. Noname.
Yes.
Right? Noname recently had a call for action. She said, Black people, we need to gatekeep our music. You know, obviously Noname is a critically acclaimed rapper. There's a difference between a popular, high-selling rapper and then a critically acclaimed. Critically acclaimed means that most people that encounter your work think it's great. She may not be able to create the change that is needed to gatekeep Black music, but she wants Black people to take control of hip-hop more. I would like to read the whole thing, honestly.
Bow Wow, he was the most recent person who's come out and said, he feels that hip hop needs a union of sorts. Yeah. Like a committee, somebody to kind of govern the standards and blah, 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 the rules.
Like a players union.
I think that's a part of gatekeeping. I'll say that. So let's go through what Noname said.
Gatekeeping. One of the biggest mistakes I believe we've made in our struggle towards liberation in this country is allowing white America unfiltered access to our entire culture. White America has created an institution of violent policing and medical neglect that is killing us every freaking day. And every day we get on these platforms and we create trends, music, art, and language that they turn into billions. Twitter admits in their guidelines that they disclose account information to law enforcement. They literally are the police. What do you think about what she said?
We saw recently 21 Savage on Clubhouse. You would die. I'm trying not to be a conspiracy theorist with this shit.
I think it was Ice-T. Clubhouse was created by the police, the law enforcement.
Bro, they have unfiltered access when they want.
There's anything that she said there?
You can't dispute like the early points about like the environment Black people have been put under. I just think that she's kind of conflating a couple different points. You know, she's talking about environment of Black people, then relates it to music. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not really the same, but keep going.
So in the next slide, she says, we do not own Black culture, we create it. White America is the biggest consumer of hip hop in this country. Most top selling rappers talk about the plight of living in the hood or the struggle to make it out. Again, white people are the largest consumers of this type of content. Do y'all never think maybe white people don't organize to end economic racist exploitation that Black people face simply because they love consuming the art we make out of survival? Is voyeurism.
We don't own Black culture. We create it. It's all facts. And you can actually make a legit argument about that. There's so many supporting facts, whether it's the fact that the labels are involved, you know, how many Black owners are part of like these label groups. I mean, we just saw Kanye West go on several rants, criticizing the Jewish community. And I'm not even about to sit here and act like the Jewish community is responsible solely for all the stuff that she's talking about. But it's about the fact that how many Black people are actually owning the machines that ultimately push Black quote unquote culture in terms of music. I think it's a legit observation. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
That first part.
Well, I mean, I think this is where
then she goes into a little bit of I would say a rabbit hole at the bottom part. I'm gonna be real with you about the whole voyeurism conversation.
Exactly. And I think this is where it's important. I know Stephen A. Smith, a lot of times when he talks about some racial aspects, he makes sure to point out, I'm not talking about every white person. That's the one thing from that slide that I'm like, it's not every white person has evil intent. White people are the biggest consumers. I mean, if you look at these festivals, a lot of times, even if it's a hip hop festival, you look at these concerts, a good chunk of the time it's majority white. White people are a major piece of who consumes hip hop. But I don't think that's every single consumer's bad. If they're white, they're bad. Like, no, her ire should be more so towards like the big businesses, the big companies, because I just personally think that there's a specific type of white people that may rub you the wrong way. And I think she did not say that there. I do agree with that topic about her saying like, yo, do y'all realize rappers, do y'all realize what you're talking about is what people that don't live what you live in is listening to? Yeah. You know what I mean? Particularly the word voyeurism.
Voyeurism.
Essentially, I guess voyeurism is like looking at something from afar. The next slide, she said they did it with blues and they did it with jazz.
Facts.
They came into our communities, listened to our art, and instead of saying, wow, it's really effed up that their conditions are so bad, they made a whole genre called the blues.
Yep.
Maybe we should help them out. No, they saw money in our pain. Hip hop is the same ish. You know how sick you have to be to listen to basically recorded therapy sessions that we call music, and instead of reaching out to help, you want to make money off it?
Okay.
It's sick.
Now I gotta
That's
stop
what she
you
said.
there. She makes good points, but throws in the BS with it. The part that she started off with is 100% facts about it's proven rock and roll being stolen from Lil Richie. You guys go do your Googles. Rock and roll, the genre that is predominantly performed by white people and known by white people, was created by black people.
Well, Elvis, that's what Elvis is about.
Elvis, 100
Elvis took his style, literally took it from black people.
But to say that Elvis was so great and so outstanding, and black people have been going out shaking their behind for centuries. And what the hell's unusual about them shaking their hips and stuff? And that's all Elvis was doing, was copying that. And he was doing our kind of music.
The same goes with R&B. There's an argument to be said with country music as well. So
I cannot imagine.
I'm not making this up.
The
Country
music I've heard Tim McGraw make.
Yeah,
a black person made something similar.
You know how many black people would say that about rock and roll? Bro, black people created that, dog. She started with that, but then ended with, I think, BS when she was talking about
how sick you got to be.
Yeah, because I don't like that because, dude, there's plenty of black people who also like the same music. Are you just pointing out white people who like the aggressive street content, or is it everybody?
And then if you look at it at the end of the day, has you heard Machine Gun Kelly? Machine Gun Kelly, black people talk about different problems than white people talk about, in their music. Like Machine Gun Kelly is talking about overdoses. And he actually has problems too. A majority of the music was based off problems people have, like heartbreak music. Black people have their particular made it out the mud. I kind of get where she's coming from, but at the same time, I don't think she should be so harsh about it. You're assuming white people don't have problems too. There can be people that connect with Lil Baby because you have similar problems to Lil Baby. Maybe you don't say it out loud.
Bro, there's plenty of black people who,
what I'm saying?
Who rock with Eminem because they can relate to
the
struggle of coming up under an environment where trauma and dysfunction in the family. People can relate to that.
You can't negate like the people that actually are going through things that are actually connecting with the music. She then said, as black artists making black art, we have a responsibility to our community and to our culture. I understand needing to survive under capitalism, but there is power in collective action. I'm not above anybody, but if there was a collective boycott where all black artists refuse to share our work unless we see radical change in our conditions, I would immediately do that. I'm just throwing out ideas because we are dying. I'm tired of watching them kill us, then seeing them dance at the shows when we sing about our demise. Seeing them steal our kids' TikTok dances and becoming millionaire influencers. We have to start gatekeeping. I don't have the answers, so drop ideas in the comments. I just know we can't keep moving like this.
The part where she said, yo, I'm about to play Coachella because I need the bread, calling out, a platform and people who make money off of the backs of the trauma that she's alluding to right here. She's willing to obviously take a stance if people would come together as a community. Unfortunately, none of us are saviors. None of us are like freaking leaders of the community, quote unquote. And I'm a big believer in each one, teach one, lead by example. Like if you're talking about it, be about it. If you want to see a change, be the change. Don't point the finger without providing legit actionable ideas for other people to kind of follow up. And I think that although Noname may not necessarily be a household name, her message here about gatekeeping may not hit as hard because of that reason. She's highlighting some things that I think are legit while also being a bit too hard on white people, which I don't like. Her ultimate point is we need to start gatekeeping. The question I have is there one thing that black people can actually do, in your opinion, to gatekeep black art?
The NBA, I believe, gatekeeps the idea of what real basketball looks like. If you go right now and play 5-on-5 down the street, you're more than likely going by NBA rules. NBA has gatekeeped the idea of what basketball is in America. If hip hop ever would have had an idea about gatekeeping, it would have to look something like that. If you're going to go on TikTok, it has to be universally known. This is not what you do. And this is what you do.
No promoting of guns online.
Exactly.
You
You
don't-
aren't from the streets. If you aren't black, I don't want to hear you listening to music about guns.
I'm gonna be
something
real
like
with
that.
you. I think everybody at this point can acknowledge, whether you're black or white, that social media can get you incriminated.
This video now has millions of views, and some of the people looking at it are Houston police officers.
Some suspects with open warrants were arrested on the spot, but much of the cast ran. It's gotten about 2 million views so far on YouTube. But it's also the tool police use to track down and identify everyone in the video who was holding a weapon. 20 have been charged with illegal possession of weapons.
So my thing is, if you guys in the music are already incriminating yourself, then you're saying it's just lyrics. Then how about in platforms that are not music based? Don't incriminate yourself. You band together and say, yo, listen, no more putting guns up on social. No more talking about bodies that you have on Clubhouse. I think that that's something that would help with to clean up or gatekeep, you know, the image of hip hop.
There is something about hip hop that's gatekeep that people don't really consider. The N-word.
Ooh.
So like, no matter how many TikTok videos you see,
it's a good example.
No matter how
It's a
many
really good example.
emulations of people trying to be rappers, if you white and a rapper, do not use the N-word. We can use it, but you cannot use it.
Bro, you have to work.
You gotta bleep one single word though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I do it?
Yeah, you did it.
I think if people came out and said, yo, you know, I'm offended by such and such, by certain things, you can't tell people what to listen to.
But again, there has to be a collective agreement.
Has to be a collective
which
agreement.
for the
And
most
there's still
part,
white people saying the N-word.
but which for the
still-
most part, most black people can agree that people outside of the black community should not be saying it.
Yes.
Now, there's arguments within the black community to say we need to stop using it. But I'm talking about the people outside. Most people are gonna be like, nah,
outside.
nobody else should be saying it.
My only issue with anything that she said was just kind of devaluing the consumer. And as somebody who, you know, I run a website, you know, we run this podcast, I value every single reader, whether you're gay, white, black, Spanish, it doesn't matter, brown, yellow, green. I value every single consumer. We have to put more of an emphasis on, which she did not mention here, is what we put out to the media. And unfortunately, what is people are gravitating to are struggle music. I said I wish the hip hop community people gravitated to the good, the positive stuff. I was like, Smino, if you listen to Smino's album, not a single mention of guns, barely. But like, it was positive, it was cheery. I was like, yo, if people only knew like how good you feel after you listen to a Smino album or a Smino song, I wish that was put at the pedestal.
You know-
like, let's celebrate black. Because she never mentioned we should stop making that kind of music or we should make more of the other kind of music. It was just like, let's keep making it and we should stop them consuming it. You're not going to stop a consumer from consuming anything.
At all.
But what you can stop is what you are putting out there to the consumer.
This is the hard conversations that I think a lot of artists have to face. Are you gonna step over your morals? Are you gonna, you know, bypass stuff that you don't necessarily stand by if you want to be successful? They got to make that hard call. To get this off of Noname for a second, 21 Savage, you know, a couple months ago was talking about how
if I started making music about Jesus Christ and turkey drives, and how many fans would I have? 0. How would I be able to feed my family rapping if I was rapping about that type of shit?
the sad truth is that people gravitate towards negativity. People gravitate towards crime.
Yeah.
This is the reason why the
It's
true
unfortunate.
crime genre in podcasting is the #1 genre in America. There's
That's a
this
good point.
sick, incestuous kind of like fascination, almost voyeurism,
Yeah, voyeurism.
when it comes to negativity. And unfortunately, that's the reason why street rap is leading the charge right now when it comes to hip hop. And until, unfortunately, some tragedy happens where like they start cracking down, like which is happening now with the Ricos and stuff like that. When everybody start going to jail, then things might probably change. And I know that sounds wild because I don't want anybody to go to jail. But the sad reality is street rap has got to a point where there seems to be this like agenda targeting of the street rappers. Not to say they're innocent, but it's like, yo, they trying to get them out of here.
In the era we grew up with, there was more balance. I think that's the difference in today's hip hop.
But I think there's
There was more
balance now
balance.
too. There's there's
in
so
terms of what
much
goes
positive
I
music.
mean, what goes mainstream.
You talking about mainstream?
Like what goes mainstream, there was more of a balance. Like back in the day, Puff Daddy and the Bad Boy family.
Yep.
Like they were creating positive music. You just don't hear as much of that anymore. And so, like,
Man,
we
got Jack Harlow, First Class.
I mean, true.
That's not street.
Listen to the full episode. Link below.